name Mike Mtutuzeli Nyati. Ndicinga indoda ende enestature esoloko inxibe kakuhle enobubele enothando ene-jokes ezingapheliyo. Apho akhoyo abantu basobe bencumile, abantu basoloko behleka. Unguloo mntu athi xa ingena endaweni efika aqhule ulincoko uphiwe apha ekuthetheni, ungumntu okwaziyo ukuthetha. Akho nto angayaziyo ke, akho kwa topic angayaziyo angazuthetha ngayo. Bengumntu wabantu. Kuthi qatha loo nto kokuqala xa ndicinga utatomkhulu MM.
In every situation, he wanted you to learn something. In every situation, he wanted you to grow. And in every situation, when he meets you in order for you to learn something or take something from him.
Tata bengumuntu othanda inkqubela and progress. Uthanda umuntu one vision, nombono.
You know, he was very brainy. He was very, he was very smart. Like I said, I mean, in all the levels of education those days, he was always at the top.
A man of many skills and trades, and he was a lot of things to a lot of people.
Umalume ubengumuntu onothando kakhulu.
Xa ukhona umuntu ofuna uncedo naselalini, mhlawumbi umntana akanazo iminzi zokuya esikolweni, ubezama ngandlela zonke uba ancedise kwelo khaya.
Umalume bengumuntu othanda umculo, nothanda ukudansa.
He was really a very special teacher. He loved us.
Those are some respect as a principal. So respect hana, so respect umsebenzi, nestandards zingalowarishwa, but ubudlelwano babulapho babumangaliso. Yena ke ene team spirit.
Everybody in the community, wengenamntu othi this one is low, this one is mediocre, this one is that. No, he treated everybody equally.
Ongasekhoyo uMichael Mtutuzeli Nyati ngunyana wonkana kababa ongasekhoyo Ruben Nyati noNosinodi Nyati. Uyabona, ubaba uNyati Michael uzalwa namantombi ayi-4. Eyokuqala ngusisi Thembeka, usisi Vuyiswa, usisi Nonkuthalo, noMampondo, the last born, le uthetha naye.
My grandfather, Mtutuzeli Nyati, Tati, as I used to call him, he's basically, he's many things. He's many things. He's a father to a lot of people, a lot of 90s kids here at Abase, and he was the founding principal of Ejumba.
Ubhele, Langa, Dubandlela, Vapi, Mbutho, zonke izithakazelo zakhe ezo.
One thing about my grandfather, he took pride in being Ibele, which is one of his thakazelo zethu, isituko to the Xhosa people. He took so much pride in being Ibele that he would say, and he reiterated, even at my young age, that ungamboni emncinci, ayilo bhele elincinci, alikho ibhele elincinci. Makhulu onke amabhele, so libhele elikhulu neli.
We are named after the founding father of this tribe, a gentleman who was known as Bele Kaludiwu, Bele the son of Lidiwu, who was based in DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. So in essence, that's where we are coming from. We migrated down as the Bele tribe, being part of the super group, which were called, when we arrived here in the Eastern Cape, we were called the Mfengu, but as we migrated down, we were actually called by another name, which included other smaller tribes as well. We were actually called the people of Embo. So the Bele is basically a clan which is part of the bigger Embo group. Really, that's really who we are.
Ubhele sisiduko sethu. Unyathi surname. Ubhele ngesizulu ke bathi sisithokozela. Bhele Dlambulo Dubandlela, Mbuto, Solanga, Lokulunga, Vapi.
Okay, there's a poem that I wrote on the day my dad died. Okay? I didn't know that he had passed on. I woke up at 4 a.m. It felt like an anxiety attack because my heart was beating fast and I was sweating and breathing fast and, you know, my mouth was dry and there were words that were running through me at the time. So I went and I wrote these words. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because it happened on the day he passed. I think it was the 13th of March, 2007. The title of the poem is Let Me Speak. I speak from the depths of my soul when I say I have no color. I speak from the depths of my soul when I say I have no gender. When I came to this earth, I knew no color. When I was born into this earth, I knew no religion. When I joined the army called the human race, I didn't know I had a gender. When I incarnated again into this planet, I didn't know there was something called a country. That was until you humans decided to put labels on me. You said, do not play with boys because you are a girl, you said. You said, don't play with them because they are colored, you said.
He was more than an ordinary teacher. He was, to me, a diplomat. Yazi esikolweni there were kids, abantwana ababefunda bengabhatali kwamali ngenxeni yoba wazi kumawabo enendlela ngendlela sibiza ngazo wesithi ke ndibiza Mike because Mike athi xa ibiza omnye umhlobo wam uPhicane athi Kubla Khan.
I started teaching with him in 1977. He was my principal in 1977. I think I was still very young. I was 24. I was the youngest of the staff that he had that time.
Umntu xa epase kakhulu uqala igusha kube mnandi futhi abize nee-friends zakhe nabantwana abalingana nathi kube mnandi ekhayeni.
Abendithanda kakhulu kangangokuba ngonyaka ka-1966 wandithatha ndimncane. Ngonyaka ka-1966 ma utata esweleka wandithatha wondifundisa eNqabarha High School for JC3. JC3 hey yayigraduate ngelo xesha ku-JC3. Ndampasa u-JC3 wam ekhuthaza imfundo. Ndayipasa i-JC3 yam wandifaka eSt Barnabas Hospital to be a nurse. Ndatreyinwa apho as a nurse for 3 years.
uMike ndifike ndazotitsha naye mna ndivela edutywa. I relocated ndazotitsha apha. Umntu ke uNyati indlela awaye though a principal we accessible gqitha. Friendly, sociable lo mntu and eyithanda kakhulu ne-community. Wayenalento into endiphuma nayo kuye wayenalento kuthiwa yi-team work, team spirit, because sasivana ngathi siyifamily apho sihlala pha and xa ungena wawungeke uthi uba lo yi-principal kwangekho these gaps ezikhona. Though sasimrespecta as a principal, sirespekthana, siwurespektha umsebenzi nezitandards zingalowarishwa, but ubudlelwane babulapho babumangaliso. Yena ke ene-team spirit yena kangoba ecaleni kwesikolo kwakhona that mission house eyayiphaka Mfundisi uLdidi. Umfundisi uLdidi wayesoloko ekhona. You would think that he was one of the staff members owayengumfundisi walapha eMoriva. And nase-staff room ngebreak kuthengwe ukutya. Kuyazi uba uMike wayeyanduluke nje acule. Ndisakhumbula iculo kwakukhubhabhi Simlangeni. Wayangena mhlawumbi e-staff room asikanduluka athi ndakunika konke okufunayo. Sidume ke sonke ke sicule loo ngoma kube mandi. Umntu ke owayenjalo ke uMike ene-team spirit kakhulu, i-teamwork noyenayo. Kodwa kuyo yonke loo nto i-determination noyenayo ne-focus. He knew what he came here for. Into edaliba nditsho uMike, yena njengoba ezovula esi sikolo zange eze nje umane ethatha imali egoduka. Waxantshuka, yaqonda? Waxantshuka kokwabo waze wafumana nenxiwa elikufutshane nesikolo.
Xa ejoka nathi esithi wayeseCardiff mos e-UK. So ke wabuya ke e-UK esibalisela phaa uba le nto yeebhati njengoba apha eSouth Africa kulaa age wayekuyo wayengenoya kwii-night clubs, yabona. Phayana babehamba ii-night clubs benxiba iijins zabo neeteki, athi sijayiva phaa namaxhegwazana abelungu kumandi. So zezo zinto endimkhumbula ngazo. Ufike elinganisa ade athi u-anti wam, hey, kungabi kanti wosefumene umlungukazi phayana. All the time usoloko uthetha nge-UK. Ayipheli le nto ye-night clubs kuwe e-UK uba e-UK wohamba ii-night clubs, uyayibona. So ndimkhumbula ngezo zinto.
My dad was a man that was extremely professional. When it came to education, he didn't compromise. Extremely professional. When I'm saying extremely, I mean even when you don't think that education would be something that you need to think of, he would make you think of it.
So really, the thing about him was more about education, success, you know, be the best you can be. But the one who didn't spare the rod was our mom. So he was just supporting our mom as far as parenting is concerned. So as a father, you know, I would say he was an easygoing guy.
Whether it's church music okanye ngamaculo esiXhosa xa kukho imisebenzi yesiXhosa, okanye nidlala nje ngala maxesha kwakukho into kwakuthiwa ngama-record, kudlalwa ii-records. So ewuthanda umculo ezawudensa ke for lo mculo niwudlalayo. Wayengumntu onxiba kakuhle, wayeyigada nento oyinxibileyo, engumntu ezothi kuwe akukriticize, but ukukriticize kwakhe ufuna ulungise, ku-constructive, ayikokriticize okuchithayo, uyabona. Ufuna ulungise le nto irongo, athi heyi mtshana, hayi noko funeke ke uyolungisa le nto irongo ayibonileyo, because xa uhamba naye funeka ube smart because naye way-smart.
I remember kule ndaba yakhe yokuthanda because he was passionate about indaba education. So wake wathi omnye wabazungulwana bakhe excited epase ustandard 10 then wathi tatomkhulu ndipasile tatomkhulu. Avuye ke umalume athi upase kanjani mntanam? Athi ndipase ngo-ES. Athi upasile, xa upase ngo-ES upasile. Hayi mtshana, hayi mzukulwana wam, hayi mzukulwana awupasanga nje. Uthi upasile wena? So like waye-challenge nje ukuthi when it comes to education funeka uhlale ubheke phezulu nje ungayeki, and ekhuthaza ukuthi imfundo ayigugelwa.
Ubethanda into yoba abone wonke umntana efundile. Kangangoba ke ubenegalelo apha eJumba. Wabona uba akunokuphelela nje kwezi klasi zisezantsi. Makazame ukunyusa izinga lemfundo alibeke kwizinga eliphezulu. Kwatsho kwenzeka wanguye ke umuntu owenza ukuba kube khona i-high school.
Ndingathi utatomkhulu eyona nto yayim-inspirisha yayimpumelelo. Wayethanda i-progress, wayithanda kuye, wayithanda nakwabanye abantu, and wayeyithanda into entle komnye umntu. Into entle wayifunela wonke umntu omngqongileyo. Yintoni enye yayim-inspirisha utatomkhulu? I think wayenothando for usapho kakhulu, usapho lwakhe nosapho lonke alukhokeleyo. So ndingathi inspiration kuye zazisuka kwezo nto.
I'd like to think one of the things that inspired him was he always strived for change, and anything that he found in whatever form, he always believed it could be better. So he always aspired to make things better and make them evolve to be better.
Community-wise, he collected kids from all over. When I'm saying all over, kids from Cape Town, from Joburg, from wherever, they would stay in our home. At any given point, there were more than 10 kids in that house. Because bekunabantwana be community, abantwana that don't have parents, kids that were struggling at school, they would stay with us. Tina, we knew them as our brothers and sisters. Only much later when they would leave, then we would ask, where's so-and-so? And then we would be told, no, they've gone back home. So a lot of the times parents would bring their kids, our cousins, just relatives, generally, they would come and stay with us. So he was that kind of person. And I guess for him, his soulmate, being the kind of person that she was as well. So it made things much easier because my mom would also instill the very things that he wanted to instill in us.
Xa kukhona i-problem nomntwana, waye asebenzisane nomzali. Esikolweni, both inside and outside the school, afune i-conditions uba zithini na, and you would go to the root cause in order to resolve le ngxaki. Edibaniselana neetishara. Over and above, phaa esikolweni na after school, kwakuye kuhlala phaa notishara uMkhendane, otishara uMkhendane oswelekayo, no Mr. Phoswa. After school, kuxoxwe noxoxwa i-issues. Kwenzela uba kuqhubeke kakuhle ubomi. Kwakukhona that harmony and that good relationship eyayikhona. Wayengekho kind of judgmental and arrogant, avele asuke abena wengenayo le legalistic approach as to act bani, ithi ntoni bani yabona. Wayeyazi i-condition ne-circumstances around umntu nomntu, be it teachers, be it abantwana.
He bought 10 sheep from one of the locals here and asked him to keep those sheep. He bought cattle from the former principal, the late principal, Mr. Lockington Magwenshu. Then zayohlala kwakhe. Abantwana besikolo used to go and fetch ubisi lenkomo zakhe azithengileyo. That's how he was related to the community. Everybody knows Ubele. Knows Ubele, loves Ubele, because Ubele is accommodative to everyone. Ubele wayithanda ifamily yakhe. He had this firstborn, Simlungu. Simlungu, I think now she's overseas, I'm not sure. But then, when she was a nurse. It was my first time to see utata xa umntana wakhe siya emsebenzini enze what is called a send-off party. He would abantwana bakhe xa bephuma kwalandela unodumo naye wayonesa buya baba yahamba uzasibiza ubhelekazi uba ubani uyahamba sizakwenza send-off party sihlala apho ubusuku bonke kube mnandi nobhelekazi. He was that warm person.
Oh my goodness, my grandfather was a people's person. So apho ebekhona ebesoloko engqungwe ngabantu, there was never a dull moment. Abantu babesiza kuye ukubone. So he was never alone. He would chill with abantu, ahlale nabantu, ahlale nefamily yakhe, and ke qho xa ikhona, it was always ngathi khona i-celebration, ngongekho celebration ukubone kumnandi nje.
Esithanda ubhuti wam, esifundisa ubhuti wam, esikhuthaza ngemfundo ubhuti wam. Yo, dada ebeyithanda imfundo nje. Enothando ehlekisa uba senze i-gathering.
Well, I have to say that I think he was soft with me, if I have to be honest. I don't remember once him smacking me or, scolding me for anything. So, to be frank, I would say he was very soft with me.
So
nokuvuyela nje mayisibona singabatshana bakhe nabazukulwana bakhe. So ube ngumuntu nje othanda ukuhleka nokuhlekisa, ethanda nje uba namancoko, ngesixhosa sidinga amancoko. Ufumanisa into yoba mhlambe uvele aveze nje something ongakhange uyilindele. Umbuze impuli, malume kunjani? Hey, ndiyaphila mtshana. Kunjani kuwe mtshana? Ndithi ndiyaphila. Athi hayi ayikafiki ingelosi enkulu yasezulwini uGabriel. Akakafiki mtshana. Noko ndiyarhalela ukuthi akabuya azondihlebela uThixo andinike imessage ngayo uGabriel ukuthi undibekele ntoni, uthini ngam. Inoba uya-understand kwi-story sikaGabriel. So sihleke ke, even his last days esezosishiya. So wayiloko esitsho nje ethi hayi mtshana ndisalindele ingelosi enkulu yasezulwini uGabriel. So besihleka nje noma ibinto esensitive but yena benza ijoke nje yonke into nje. Mawonwabile uyombona nje jabula nje egida ecula izidlaliso zakhe. Bekhona ingoma ebeyithanda kakhulu. Mayonwabile ubone ukuthi onwabile athi khawuzidweze dweza uzidweze. Sonke ke sizomshayela izandla, simshayela izandla ke agide umalume.
Umalume wam ubengumuntu obethanda umculo. Ekhayeni nje likhaya lomculo. So ubethi xa ebona abatshana bakhe athi mtshana ubulise khawuzidweze uzidweze okwesele. So bisisidlalo sakhe ke eso ngoba bengumuntu nje olive nje. Ayikho enye into ngaphandle kokuba wenza ama-jokes and wenza sure into ba umtshana uyafunda kodwa.
I have this beautiful photo of me and my grandfather. I was 11 months old and I was sitting on his lap and he was like holding me and I was in a white onesie. That's like the most memory I have.
I think that, of course, I was very young when he was around, but I remember his smile. I think that's the biggest thing that I remember about him. And I'm not sure if this is a real memory or something I constructed in my mind, but I think that when I saw him in the casket, I remember him having a smile even after he had passed. So that's the everlasting image that I have in my mind of him.
So ebesithanda nje kakhulu, esonwabisa kakhulu, esijabulela. So ibingumuntu onjalo esikhuthaza nangendaba ye-education because all the time esibona usufunda kubani ngokumtshana, wenzani, ufuna uba yintoni mtshana.
His favorite song was Simply the Best, kaTina 10.
It's simply the best.
So my dad, I think my dad had a crush on Tina Turner, to be honest with you. He used to say, yo, yabona la sisi, unomlomo square. Yabona, and ufit, yabona mambele, ufit, yabona umlanzi wakhe. Yeah, uyashayina mambele, and ufit mbele. And when she does these things, she's got these things, these pointy shoes zakhe, and she runs across the stage. Yabona, and he would imitate. Ebethanda ukwenza, you know, those kind of jokes. But when he imitated Tina Turner, he would be like really, Dad, you know. So Simply the Best, he would stand up. Then back then, go try and Top of the Pops. I think it was a program on TV called Top of the Pops. I didn't understand how my dad would watch that. But Uba Utina Tena Uzoba Konaki Top 10, my dad would be there watching and cheering and I'm like, yo, I love that guys. I mean, as a kid, you feel embarrassed. You don't want to see your parent like that. But now looking back, I think my dad had a crush on him.
In fact, he himself, having excelled, you know, when he did his matric at Hilltown. That's the same institution where Mandela went to do his matric. So when my dad excelled in 1948 in the whole of the Cape Province, he was selected as one of the people who needed to be taken to Natal to be trained as the first group of black medical doctors trained in South Africa. But only to find that they were actually recruited under false pretext. So when he found out that actually they were being trained to be something more than a nurse but less than a doctor, called auxiliary doctors, he then protested, he was expelled, and so he came back to the Eastern Cape into the default profession of our family, which is teaching or education. Had he continued to become a doctor, maybe he wouldn't be standing here celebrating his legacy. So in one way, him protesting and getting kicked out at Natal has actually benefited South Africa, especially the black child, in terms of access to quality education.
You said, don't play with us because you are black, we are white, you said. I looked at Cole because you said Cole was black. I looked at me and I saw no blackness. So what am I? I looked at myself and retraced the steps of my ancestors. In my blood, I found people of the sun, I did. In my blood, I found settlers of Dutch origin. So what am I? No, guys, I can't do this. Let me speak human, because now that you call me a woman, you put me in my place, you say. You say to me, I should not wear my crown of platinum because I am a woman. You said I shouldn't adorn the pants I adore so much because I'm an African woman. You say, decent African women do not adorn, do not display their African assets for all to see. When I adorn the pants, am I less of a woman, I ask? Let me speak human, because, no, guys, I can't do this.
Utata uNyathi okokuqala ufike apha kungekho sikolo secondary school, coming all the way from Enhlaza and bring light to this community and propose this to the community, and then the community welcomed the idea and they took it by both hands, and then he started to go to the department to organize, that is, there must be a structure which will be the school.
Thina siva he is the founder of that school eSijumba, because sifike mna sesele ngasekho kwayena sele ngasatithi pha ndifikele kwezinye principals, so siyayazi ihistory yakhe bangaba wayifounda esasikolo eSijumba, then apha esiqala khona siyasaza apha esiqala khona apha yayi-mud school, then sada sayofika phaya. So now kuzawube ku-unveilwa esastatue sakhe, siyenze siyi-community sidibene kunye nesikolo, into ezakwazi ubonisa nabantwana bangaba yayingubani umuntu owayeqalisa isikolo.
This big one was Form 3C. This one was it's grade 12 now. It was Form 5 then. The other one was Form 4. There, that wall, to see that wall was our staff room. Then behind, we've got other walls behind. We had Form 3B and from Form 3A and Form 3G there. Then just in that corner we had principal's office where we used to steal his phone.
Thina sizi-principal ezilandele emveni kwakhe carries on that light, so that is ingacimi that light wayeyilayitile before. So that is thina silandelayo sithi carry on and try to improve more and more from what he left.
I think there's a lot abantwana abangayifunda, because also esikoleni we are teaching history. History ke mos ifuna imvelaphi yezinto zonke. So I'm thinking e-learners, they will know but background yesasikolo ithini.
The one thing I would say about him was he was generous. Generosity probably, in my view, would be his value. Generosity with knowledge. And if I talk about generosity around issues of knowledge, other people might think, oh, because it's your dad. No. My dad would, if for example, there's a teacher, there is an example of a teacher who was struggling with Latin. And this particular teacher, the kids failed in June, right? my dad decided, okay, although I'm a principal, I'm going to take Latin over and I will teach these kids and see if Latin yabo iya improve. At the end of the year, all the kids had failed, by the way, in June. The highest mark was 40%. At the end of the year, all the kids had passed. The lowest mark was 60%. That's how good he was. The way that he would impart information, he would make illustrations that are out of this world, things that are relatable. So maybe amongst the values that he had was being relatable.
As you see the bricks, you still see the bricks. They were very strong because we got Mr. Nyati got this school when the junior was built there. Then this one became vacant. That's how you got this one. Then behind that classroom, there were his shacks where he was staying. He was staying with his children. The shacks were built with planks. They would go to Langeni. The boys would be sent to Langeni and fetch some poles and planks, and he would build a shack for him to stay with his family.
Sifike isikolo siqalwe ngutata Nyati, and when we felt that everyone ophana part esikoleni ufuneka sazi uba where this school started, who started the school.
So if it is raining, we would conduct prayers here, if it's raining. And if there is a visitor sometimes who wants to come and tell students about anything, we would gather here because there were not so many at the beginning. But as the time goes, there was a large number of students. Hence, he thought of asking for a site that side because this place was no longer accommodating all of the children.
We were sharing jokes naye efuna uqonda ne-subjects esizititshayo, and then life ithini relationship between the teachers and the educators, and also give us advice as an older person what we should do because we were still young by that time. And then what I've seen kuye kwakhona, the empathy anayo ngesa sikolo apha kuye besithanda kakhulu.
And Belekazi was an archdeacon in the Anglican church. He was preaching there. So he had no problem of standing in front of the kids and preaching and reading the Bible. That's what he did. In so much that we were lazy as young, you know most when you are still young. We were lazy to come and conduct prayers. But he would always do that. He would always stand in front of the kids, conduct prayers, do announcements, and they would march to the classrooms.
Ndimbona utata is the one who have a sense of humor, an intelligent guy.
Wayeyithanda imfundo utata omkhulu kakhulu, and wayefuna wonke umntu ozalwa nguye nozalana naye aphumelele esikolweni.
I can't think of anything more than that. An intellectual that stretches himself, whether socially or academically or whatever. He was an intellectual to the core. This is him. This is the core of who he was.
The whole idea was conceived by my elder brother, my eldest brother Mteto, together with his wife. So they basically sold then the idea to the rest of the family, and we were quite excited with the idea, of course.
Silapha ke kuba sisithi abo bamameleyo mabayazi into yokuba lo sentana here and sent there iqokelelwa simane sifaka le nale apha eJumba ingasakha esisikolo. Wathi utata wayethetha nathi thina family yakhe abantwana bakhe wathi i-generation nganye must be better than the previous generation. Ibuhlungu ke kuthina xa sibona ukuba esi sikolo sisesasikolo wayesakhile. Funeke bonakale umahluko and siyacela abantu abamameleyo bonke nabantu abebefunda apha simane siqokelelana qokelelo ezo zisende zinazo ukuba sizame ukuphucula esi sikolo. Yanke into esizeleyo ke apha.
No matter mhlambi iyenziwa lento theoretical as the mind mhlambi zifade out where there is the statue now every person can relate the person that has done this one. It's not just now a verbal translation, but it's also there is an evidence, a picture of this person that has started the whole work. Because if you can see now, no matter it's the big school now, it started from nowhere, and then there is a person that is behind all this idea of building this school.
I am not sure why he chose education. Dinayo into ethi wayenako ukuchuza any career ngokomzila lo wakhe kucacile ba ingqondo le yayikhona, but he chose education and I believe that he chose right. Education ke is the mother of all professions.
I think Mrs. Amane, there's a lot abantwana abangayifunda because also esikoleni we are teaching history. History ke mos ifuna imvelaphi yezinto zonke. So I'm thinking learners they will know ba background yesasikolo ithini. And lando into engazange yabakhona. Tube kubekho istatue in a school. There's no school in up education that is the part I feel like we because all those people as abebene galelo elikhulu abenzile kwa education they don't remember them, they don't acknowledge them.
It's important for Black communities to commemorate and recognize and acknowledge and remember their own history. And having statues, having plaques, having any of those things just solidifies those moments in history, something that other people may not have solidified for us. So I think that for the community at large, it really emphasizes that there is this person, education was the ticket to achieving whatever it was that you wanted to achieve, and wherever you are, whatever community you are in, you can make those goals a reality. So I think that that is the biggest impact that that statue has on the community.
It means that we are noticing and we want the legacy of our late father to be, recognized, but it's not a coincidence really, him and what he has done in the education sector.
I-message yami nestatue abantwana since bekhula kwi-environment efana lena thumela i-message ethi nabazi basithanda isikolo bafane no-Mr. Nyati lo apha egeyithini asistatue pha egeyithini.
Principal Nyati, in him we did not just see a teacher, we did not just see a parent, we saw a diplomat. Umntu okwazi ukuhlanganisa imihlambi yalanayo, okwazi ukuhlanganisa izinto ngezinto apha esikolweni zonke zicule culo linye zibheka calanye ngovuyo nolonwabo. Sifunde izinto eziningi ku-principal. Mve esikolweni kusasa kwakho assembly ngathi azisekho ngoku. Ngathi azisekho ngoku thina sasiqala ku-assembly every day in the morning without fail. Kuqalwa ngezinto zokuqala uThixo esikolweni, kugqityelwa ngezinto zokugqibela uThixo yonke imihla. Xa nifika esikolweni niqala emthandazweni, xa niphuma esikolweni nigqibela emthandazweni. Anive nohlukane nje umuntu aphuma eklasini yakhe agoduka kuyokwenza ufefe. Ndithi ke uzamva ekuseni Ngokusendiyandiyibona because le nto le yayinto encinci mhlawumbi someone could say it was a small job. Why could it be done by a principal? Because i-reality is that ndihambe kwizikolo ngezikolo zange ndiyibone le nto isenziwa nguprincipal kodwa uprincipal waye siyithande siyi-enjoy siyihleke gagagagagagaga ufika kwakusasa uzawubiza iposi kwakusekho iposi ngoko akusaposelwana nto ngoku uyaqonda ukuba noko ngala maxesha kungala maxesha oomama kanororo sibari sibhalelana incwadi uyaqonda kubhala incwadi uzazifunda uzibambe sisiphamba apho uprincipal kusasa xa egqiba ukuthandaza abe sakhiwe saksito awasibize zonke ke zoziteketiso zibizwe apha ngenye ixesha ufumanisa uba kwenye ileta ebeyivile laa ndawo le ayibhalwanga apha kodwa uzayibiza ayibiza emkena uyaqonda ke bangapha abafundi esikolweni emkenazo zonke ezo leta uprincipal esiteketisa sonke sihle uyongena eklasini umphefumlo upholile wonwabile noba njengoba sihlala kwezindlu sihlala kuzo bekho into ebesiphazamisene ngayo kodwa ungena esikolweni umoya uzolile upholile ubutitshala wehistory akekho ungena pha ateach history. In fact, I've never seen a principal ofana naye o teach about 3 subjects ngexesha esikolweni kodwa ujongene nomcimbi omkhulu wokuphatha isikolo.
He was committed to the work of being a teacher, and I think that's really what we're celebrating. So he was a guy who lived a full life. He was not just an intellectual, but he was an intellectual and a socialite in one. So wherever he was in social gatherings, somehow he would take a lead because of the nature of his personality. So he was a people's person. Yeah.
He deserves our honor. He deserves all the accolades esimheyila ngalo. He deserves into yokubana sithi simothulele umnqwazi. He deserves a standing ovation. Utata Nyati. He deserves a good round of applause. Can we give it to him for that much?
Esi statue sikaTata Nyati apha kwesi sizwe samajumba asemthatha siyakhweletisa sinezinto esizivuseleleyo apha phakathi kwethu ukusifundisa kubaluleka komonde ukusifundisa ukubaluleka kokuzazi ubufuna ntoni ufuna ukwenza ntoni ngempilo yakho ukufundisa ukubaluleka komuntu ngaphezulu kwako konke ukubaluleka kwemfundo nendlela awayeyithanda ngayo imfundo awayeyixhasa ngayo apha kuthi ke ngokuba khona kwaso sastatyu kusisazela ekuzawuhlala kusenzela isazela nathi uba sikukhumbule into bana imfundo iyinto uTata uNyathi wayirhalela into bana kube into esiqaqamba ngayo singabantu balapha kwaJumba iyinto wayirhalela into bana xa kuthethwa ngejumba traditional community kuthethwe ngabantu abafundileyo ukusuka kwabanombola sasikhula sifudula singabo
into bayenzileyo endesastatu kufuneka siyazi uba siyi-symbol yethu yalapha ekuhlaleni and sifuneka kho xa sisibonayo siyazi uba nathi sinoxanduva of attaining the vision uTitshala uNyathi awayeyifunela thina ngakumbi bantwana besikolo.
Because if abantu bebegcinwa, if people were preserved, we would, as this community, preserve Belekazi ahlala ngabhubhi.
Hey, funa ukuthi enkosi bhuti wami ngohlobo osifundise ngalo wasibonisa ukuthi abantu futhi bayathandwa ngothando luyi-one equal, treat them equally. Siyabulela bhuti.
Message endiyithumela efemelini ifemeli yalapha ingathi ingahlala ilento iyo ihlala isupporta esikolweni sethu sihappy kakhulu ngoba ifemeli yalapha ibonakala isamkele pha esikolweni ingathi ingahlala iqhubeka kanje zininzi izinto esibona uba singazifumana through le femeli yalapha so siyabulela kakhulu efemelini ingathi kahlala isupporta ngento zonke ingazilahli because umzekelo last of last year kwakukhona i-hurricane apha elalini, isikolo sethu samoshakala. Ifamily also donated esikolweni, so la partnership yefamily lesikolo siyamkela, sibulela kakhulu, sihappy kakhulu ngayo.
The community must exploit, that is the avenue which was opened up by Mr. Nyati, so that is they can be educated, they can open up other avenues, because education, it is not only about educating the community, but to open up other avenues in the world.
Kusapho lwakwaNyathi sinombulelo ongazenzisiyo sisizwe salapha kwaJumba, ingakumbi ikomkhulu. Ikomkhulu lo mbulelo walo usekelezelwe entweni yobana apha kwintlalo yethu sinento esikhule siyiqonda singabantu balapha emakhaya ngelithi imfundo iyagezisa. Ibi-perception le ibisenza thina abantu abangafundanga sibe ngabantu ababajongela besizibukula ngokwethu ebantwini abafundileyo, ngoba sinexhala lento kokubana abantu abafundileyo bazawusi-undermine, baza kusidelela. Kodwa usapho lwakwaNyathi luye lohluka kuyo yonke loo nto. Usapho lwakwaNyathi lusenze saziva siyile community, ufundile ungafundanga, sibhilonga, singabantu abangumntu omnye, singabantu abanenjongo ezinye zoba siphuhlise eli le community yalapha kwaJumba. Ngaloo mazwi silikomkhulu, sibulela kakhulu kusapho lwakwaNyathi, sibulela kakhulu intsikelelo ubawo wasenzela yona ngokusisikelela ngalo bawo unguba uNyathi lo uTata Mike. Ngoba uTata Mike akaphelelanga nje uba intsikelelo kwesi sizwe, kodwa uThixo uyawuphindwa amsikelela ngoba nabantwana abangazumhlazisa, abazawuzeka mzekweni, babe yile nto ebefuna yena uba ilizwe libe lingaba yiyo. Kona ukuba ilizwe beliye laba ngokwephupha likatata uNyathi, ngekuba ilizwe liyindawo ebhetele wonke ubana angarhalelela ubalekela kuyo, ngoba ilizwe with him was a better place and could have been even more.
Oh my goodness.
Uthando. Ube inqondi. Uthando.
A passionate person. Bengumuntu wabantu.
He was an intellectual to the core.
Sense of humor and intelligent guy.
Extraordinary.
Towards his end days of life, he was starting to question whether he was impactful in his life. So one day I took him from his main house. We went to the gate and I said, let's stand there. Look down at that school down there, Jumba Senior Secondary School. So if you think you have not done anything worthy to be respected and appreciated, there's a school that wasn't there, you know, when you came here in 1973. So that alone should tell you that your life was not in vain. So yeah, he was a great guy.
In every situation, he wanted you to learn something. In every situation, he wanted you to grow. And in every situation, when he meets you in order for you to learn something or take something from him. And he did that with, you know, he didn't have a problem with imparting stuff to people. So he was an educationist to the core.